Blessings and blessing, and welcome to the Path to Freedom this Saturday night or Sunday morning or whenever we are, wherever we are. I'm so glad and privileged and grateful that you're choosing to tune in, that you're choosing to join me in a moment of expanding our consciousness, in a moment of allowing forever greater and grander versions and expressions of who and what we are to emerge, in a moment of soaring and setting ourselves free to be in ever expanding love and peace and joy and all of that. Beautiful. So Celeste is here and she's saying hello, California. Maybe that's where you are, Celeste. Either way, welcome, welcome, welcome. And Jamie's here from North Dakota and Michelle is here. Hi, Michelle. I maybe it is you that I know, Michelle, who are so beautifully and lovingly sharing reflections and insights. And Erica is here from California. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Wherever we are, and Rebecca is here from London. So we're gathering from all over, and Tracy from Utah. Beautiful. So we're coming together from all over the world in such a beautiful space. It is you. I'm glad to have a face on your to see your face. I've seen your name so many times, and I'm happy to now see you. And I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that you're all here. So today we are having a conversation about trust, and I've been moving back and forth as to what to call it. As we're walking along this beautiful path of freedom, there are two, I've called them entry points, I've called them pathways, I've called them pillars, and I think I'm leaning into pillars. It just came to me before this that pillars is actually what they are. If we want to be in this space of ever expanding peace and love and joy and harmony, if we want to be in this space of forever allowing for greater and grander expressions of ourselves, if we want to be in the space of releasing fear and worry and doubt and a sense of not being enough and all of that, there are two pillars that we are building our foundation upon. So there's the one where we take back our minds, where we stop being hijacked by time and the incessant busyness of the mind. And I kind of call that coming back to the nowness of this moment, having a practice to come back to this one now moment. So that's essential, right? And then there's the other foundation that we need to establish, and that is trusting ultimately that this loving presence, we can call it life, we can call it love, we can call it energy, we can call it God, we can call it spirit, we can call it whatever, but that it is good, that it is benevolent, that it is always for itself, and thus as we are one with it, that it is for us. So we are not moving through life trying to protect ourselves, we're not moving through life trying to overcome the next bad thing that is going to happen. Life is not an obstacle course that we need to make it through, but that life is actually for us in every single moment. And so today we are addressing the latter, we're addressing the trust, the pillar of trust, learning to, or exploring, discovering what it is that we are trusting and how we can trust in something that we don't really know exists other than in our hearts and souls. So Jamie says, you've been so inspiring to me. Thank you so much, Jamie. I really appreciate it. And Roxify from San Francisco. Beautiful. We're going to move into a brief meditation. I always want to do that to address and to cater that first pillar of really centering ourselves and grounding ourselves, coming back to the nowness of this moment. Before we do that, though, it is my invitation that we put in the chat the quality that we wish to embody as we're moving through this space today, what is the quality that we wish to embody? What is the quality that we wish to experience more of? So it can be peace, it can be love, it can be joy, it can be harmony, it can be abundance, it can be beauty, it can be whatever, joy. But to give ourselves an intention, a sense of direction as we're moving forward. So James says clarity, and for me, that quality is, I believe, patience. It's not really a divine quality, but it is still, as I'm in the process of midwifing something brand new, I do get a little impatient about it. I want it to get done as fast as possible. So I'm gonna go with patience. And Celeste says harmony, and Rebecca says harmony, love, and joy, and Anna Maria says peace, and Michelle, peace and joy and freedom. Beautiful. So the idea here, or the invitation, as we've now articulated our sense of direction, as we're moving through the meditation and then into the exploration, to have these qualities in mind and really look for how can we, with the words that will be spoken, with the insights and the realizations that we will catch, how can we use these to propel us into expansion? So for me, how can I use this conversation that we're going to have today to really move me deeper into patience, so that the intentions, so that we give our intentions permission to really work us, to really guide and lead and move us, right? Beautiful. So in this now moment, as we're moving into the meditation, I invite us all to close our eyes. I invite us to put a smile on our faces, and even if we don't particularly feel like smiling, let's do it anyway. Let's have a beautiful smile play across our faces, and it's not a frivolous smile. It's not putting on a mask or a silly face or anything like that. But every time we smile, it doesn't matter if it's a real smile or a fake smile, but every time we smile, we're sending the signal to the sacred laws that all is well. We wouldn't be smiling if we were in worry. We wouldn't be smiling if we were in fear. So when we smile, we send the signal to the sacred laws that all is well. We send the signal to the body that all is well. And the body corresponds, as well as the sacred laws, the body corresponds to this feeling tone. And it begins to produce healing chemicals, tonic chemicals, chemicals that slow down the aging process, chemicals that strengthen the immune system, and they probably do a whole lot more than this. So this is a healing smile. This is a healing smile. And we're invited to keep a slight smile all through the meditation. Let us make ourselves comfortable, whatever that means. Meditation, it can be, but the way I do it and the way I teach it, it is not about enduring pain or discomfort, but it is about giving allowing for the conditions where we get to relax, where our bodies get to relax, where we get to, it's a moment of enjoying this now moment, or a space of enjoying this now moment. So whatever it means to make ourselves comfortable, let's do it. Let's do it. And then obviously, we're invited to turn our attention away from the world, from the busyness, from the minds, whatever the mind goes, and bring it to the point of anchor, which for me is the breath. And as we're turning our attention toward the breath, we want to be mindful of two things. First of all, that the body with its divine intelligence is perfectly capable and able of doing the breathing by itself. What this means is that we do not need to make the breathing happen. We don't need to force the breathing. We don't even need to participate in the breathing. But we want to use the breathing, the breath as it flows in and out, the chest as it rises and falls, as a point of observation, a point of witnessing, a point of anchor. So we want to be mindful of the breath, just letting it happen, letting the body do what it does. And the second thing we want to be aware of as we're moving into the meditation is that each breath has 4 stages to it. There's the in breath, there's the space between in and out breath, there's the out breath, and then there's the space between out and in breath. And it is that last stage that we want to be particularly mindful of, because oftentimes that's where the attention drifts away from the breath. As we have exhaled, we kind of tend to think that the breath is over, so we relax our attention and whoops, it goes into fantasy land, into past, present, future, into that next thing to figure out or worry about, or whatever the case may be. So being mindful of that last space and really seeking to really seek to have our attention stayed on that space allows us to sustain our attention on the breath for longer and longer periods, and with the ever increasing ease and grace. And also we're invited to take on the feeling tone that all is well right now, right here, and give the peace that follows permission to move us deep, deep, deep into the stillness, into the silence. And if our minds drift, if our attention drifts, let's gently and lovingly turn them back to the breath and begin again. Let's come back to the breath. Begin again. Let's come back to the breath and begin again. Let's come back to the breath once again and begin again. As I move us into an opening prayer, I invite us all to remain with our eyes closed, to let that beautiful smile linger for a little bit longer, to really open our hearts and open our minds so that we give this prayer permission to raise us into an even higher vibration and expand our consciousness even more. So in this moment, as I come deeper and deeper into this now moment, how grateful I am to be here in this soothing, relaxing, peaceful, loving space. I cannot think of a better way to start my day. This is the beginning of my day. To be in the company of such beautiful beings, to be in such high fellowship with like-minded individuals, to be in a space where we get to support each other, where we get to empower each other, where we get to inspire each other, where we get to walk side by side along this beautiful path of freedom, of continuously releasing and letting go that which no longer serves. It may have served in the past, but it no longer does. So we get to release it. We get to set ourselves free, to soar, to continuously raise our vibration and expand our consciousness. It is such a beautiful space, and I'm so privileged that I get to be here and that I get to walk this path. I mean, my God, there are so many individuals around this planet that would love to be able to be in a space like this, that would love to have their lives be about freedom. But for whatever reasons, they cannot. They're finding themselves in conditions and circumstances that are perhaps about survival only, just making it through the day. But I get to, and we get to be here. I'm so grateful, and I'm so grateful for every single one of you who are tuning in, whenever you are, wherever you are, for tuning in to this space, for your willingness to walk this path, for your courage to walk this path, for your strength to walk this path, for saying yes to walk this path. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Knowing, feeling that there is only one thing here. I choose to call it the loving presence. I choose to call it God. I choose to call it spirit. But whatever we call it, it's the one thing, it's the one mind, it's the one power. It is the one life, the one love. It is the one source of everything. It is the one intelligence that is everywhere. It is the only thing there is. It's all there is. Fully present in every space and place and being and moment and object. So there's no space nor place we can ever go or be where this loving presence is not fully expressing itself. And it is good. It is benevolent. It is always for itself. It is always in a state and space of expansion, progression, always moving forward, always seeking to reveal more of that which it is. Never ever going backwards, never ever against itself, never ever compromising itself or contradicting itself or dividing itself, but always expressing itself beautifully, fully, freely, and perfectly. We're one with it. We're all unique, perfect, whole, complete expressions, emanations of this, the loving presence. We're not only a drop in the ocean, but we're the entire ocean in a drop. We are all of that which God is, because we are what it is, and it is what we are. We are it, being itself, doing itself, expressing itself, ising itself in such a beautiful, perfect, magnificent, and unique way. So it is from this awareness, from this space of knowing that there is only absolute oneness, that I know that we are blessed, each and every single one of us. We're blessed beyond imagination. We're blessed beyond anything we've ever experienced before. It is from this space that I know that all is well, that something wonderful is happening, that everything is working for the highest good for each and every single one of us as unique individuals, and for all of creation, for all of humanity, for this planet, for this world. So I'm blessing this space, I'm blessing all of us in the full knowing that the only thing that is happening here now is this loving presence. It's good. I simply say, so it is, so be it, so shall it be. Amen. Amin. Ashe. Aho. Hotep. Shalom. Salam. And hallelujah. So welcome, not back, but welcome to the new us, to the new iteration of who and what we are. And thank you so much for participating in that. All right, so trust as the foundational pillar of freedom, of joy. And I just want to say that as we're moving into the exploration and the talking and all of that, I would love it if this was a conversation that we had. In other words, I would love it if you would share insights, realizations, reflections, comments, own experiences, questions also, if you have any, so that this is something that we all co-create and consciously participate in. As much as I like to talk, and I do absolutely love to talk, especially when I'm speaking into such a beautiful space as this. But if we all participated in our own way, I'm not saying that everybody needs to share. Even not sharing is participating. So I'm not requesting anyone or everyone to write in the chat, not at all. But feel free, if it resonates with you, feel free to put whatever in the chat. All right, so trust. First of all, let's begin with, as we're moving forward, let's begin with what we're not trusting. I'm having so many conversations with individuals who basically say, I don't know if I can do it. They're moving through something and they're being called to move into expansion. They're being called to begin to make new choices or to shift their lives. Excuse me. And at bottom, they think that they are the ones doing it, that it is up to them to make it happen. And I absolutely resonate with that. I totally been there, so I know exactly that sense of being overwhelmed. What if I cannot do it? But the thing is, as came through in the prayer, we are one. We are all one with this loving presence. We are what it is, and it is what we are. Like Jesus said, this is not me doing the work. This is the Father within me that does the work. Take a look at anything in nature, and I absolutely love nature as a teacher. Take a look at anything in nature. Take an apple seed, for instance. Put that apple seed into the ground. And after a while, it begins to shoot, it begins to root, it begins to shoot, and then after a while, it begins to bear fruit, right? If the conditions are right and ripe. But it is not the seed. It is not the seed that is making the apple tree happen. The apple tree emerges from within the seed. So there's a divine intelligence that is all of creation. When we, for instance, if we cut our, let's say that we cut our wrist or our hand, and we obviously wash it over, we perhaps put a Band-Aid on it or whatever is needed, and then it begins to heal. And after a while, it begins to itch and so forth as the healing happens. But it is not us that is doing the healing. If we need to go to the hospital and see a doctor, and they may put us through all these tests and all of that, and they may put us on medication or even hook us up to some sort of equipment. But it is not the doctors, it is not the equipment, it is not the medication, the medicines that are doing the healing. They help facilitate, absolutely, the right and ripe conditions for the healing to happen, but the healing happens from within the body. So once again, that divine intelligence that is benevolent, that is always for itself, that is what we're trusting. So in every single moment, whatever we need to allow for the next great and grand version of who and what we are, be it resources, be it, and actually resources and all of that. So let me back up. In every single moment, everything that we need, we have. What is it that we need? Well, first of all, we need our consciousness. We need to take our minds back. We need to not be caught up by the obstacles, by the problems, by how much we need to overcome. But we need to come back to the trust. The apple seed put in the ground, there's no doubt within the apple seed. There's no fear within the apple seed. There's no stress. There's no anxiety within the apple seed. It's not going, oh my goodness, I'm supposed to be this beautiful apple tree, or I'm supposed to become this beautiful apple tree. I have no idea how I'm going to do that. I have no idea how long this is going to take. I'm just a tiny little seed. What the heck, God? Nature doesn't have that faculty that allows it to think independently. We do. And oftentimes we're not thinking independently, but we're just allowing circumstances and conditions. We're allowing the unknown. We're allowing that which seems to be the surface appearance of what is the seeming lack, the seeming scarcity. We're allowing that to dictate, to determine where we turn our attention. But we all have the faculty of turning our attention to wherever we want to turn it in any given moment. So our work, our responsibility is to allow for those right and ripe conditions, to allow for our minds to be the fertile ground, the fertile soil in which the next iteration of who we are may emerge. But we do not need to make it happen. Whenever our backs are against the ropes or against the wall or whatever, whenever we find ourselves in spaces where there seems to be no way out, when all the doors have been slammed shut, when all the structures, or at least some of them, have crumbled, where the old, that when life as we used to know it is beginning to dissolve, to disintegrate, it is not us finding the way out of that space. It is not us coming up with a solution to that space or to that challenge, but through leaning in, through trusting that there is something greater at play here. There is this one loving presence that is always for itself, and that it is doing the thing. It is doing the guiding. It is doing the making it happen. It is doing everything here. We just need to participate. That's what, and another way of saying it is, when we move into the feeling tone that all is well, we become avenues. We make ourselves instruments and vehicles for the next stage of who we are to emerge. So that is our work. And from that space, when we know that all is well, the whole universe rises up to meet us there. The sacred laws can only correspond where we are, as Reverend Michael Bernard Beckwith says, and I just read a quote from him yesterday, saying that that the universe responds to the nature of our song. So our predominant vibrational tone, our predominant feeling tone, that's what the universe is corresponding to. That's what the sacred laws are reflecting and mirroring. So when we take on the feeling tone, when we do whatever we need to do, as we are facing challenges, as we are facing obstacles, as we are facing being moved or pushed or pulled into the unknown, beyond our comfort zones and all of that, when we're being moved into expansion, rather than trying to figure out how to navigate through it. And as was my mantra back then, if I don't do it, it's not going to get done. That's how I moved through life. If we begin by treating our minds to come into the feeling tone that all is well, like the apple seed. And another analogy that I absolutely love is the lily on the field, to move into the lily of the field consciousness, or the lily on the field consciousness. What does the lily on the field do? It doesn't spin, it doesn't toil, it doesn't effort, it doesn't struggle. And yet look at it. How beautifully, abundantly is it not provided for? As is all of nature, not through doing, not through efforting, not through pushing through, but simply surrendering, trusting the fundamental goodness that is all of God, that is life. Michelle is saying, I'm struggling with this. I want to trust things will unfold, but then I feel the need to act and question, is it me controlling, forcing, or no, to allow the guidance and trust by? This is something that we need to learn. We first need to unlearn our old habits, our old ways of being, and allow for new habit to come into being. So what is it that we're trusting? For me, as this has emerged these last number of years, you may have heard I have 3 supreme affirmations that I say over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. I've been saying them for years, and I keep saying them every single day. All is well. And sometimes I add, if I feel I need to, so peace be still. But all is well, something wonderful is always happening, everything is working for the highest good. I just keep repeating it to myself. Our minds are habitual. Whatever belief we have, whatever story we have, it has become a belief. It wasn't always a belief, but it has become a belief because of repetition, repeated experiences, or someone telling it to us over and over again, or we ourselves telling it to ourselves over and over again. So the way to move out of it is sort of twofold, or it's got 2 tiers. Where the one is finding some kind of affirmation or prayer that moves us, not necessarily instantly, but that offers a new perspective, that offers a higher vantage point. And then obviously understanding where that is coming from. So let us begin by exploring what it is that we're trusting, and how can we trust something that we don't know. And if we're not comfortable with the word God, we can use any word, but I choose to use the word God. So God is this loving presence, right? It is all there is. Energy is all there is. God and energy they are synonymous. God and life are synonymous. So life is everywhere, and God is everywhere. There's no space nor place where life is not. There's no space nor place where energy is not. There's no space nor place where God is not. They are one and the same, right? So it is all there is, which means that it is right here, in this space, in this now moment, in every space, in every now moment. This loving presence is good, and we need only look to nature once again, and how the scientists tell us that the universe and the cosmos is expanding. Every single second, it is expanding. Life on this planet has evolved. It continues to evolve. Every Every iteration of life is continuously seeking that next great and grand version of who and what it is. So there's a benevolence here. The will of spirit is for spirit to come into a greater and greater expressions of itself. And as we are one with this loving presence, as we are what it is, as it is what we are, it means that we, in every single moment, are being guided and moved and led into expansion, so that we may reveal more of the peace that God is, so that we may reveal more of the love that Spirit is, so that we may reveal more of the joy that Spirit is, and the wholeness, the harmony, and the abundance, and all of that, all of these beautiful divine qualities. So that we get to trust. We get to trust that God is all there is. We get to trust that God is good. And we get to trust that Spirit is always expressing itself perfectly. Always. Divine and perfect timing happening always, meaning that God is never late. God is never early. God is always right on time, and it is always moving with divine and perfect action. So everything that happens, we may not like it. We may not be able to feel that all is well. We may not be able to see that all is well, but it is still so. It is still so. 2 + 2 is 4, right? And it is still 4, whether or not I believe that it is. I may believe for my whole life that 2 + 2 is 6. That doesn't really matter. 2 + 2 is still 4. It's always been 4. It's always going to be 4. It's not a matter of time. And it is not dependent upon my believing or our believing that it is so. So all these things that we're saying about spirit, they're always true. It's not up for debate. We can argue, and a lot of people do argue about who and what God is, and who is right and who's wrong, and all of that. That doesn't change the nature of spirit. We can speak about the sun, and we can have all these theories about the sun, and we can call it different names. It doesn't care. And it's not ever going to change what the sun does. The sun does what the sun does, regardless of what we call it, regardless of what we think we believe about it, right? So this is not for the intellect, ultimately. This is not for the intellect, but this is for us really coming into a feeling tone, really coming into a deep and profound realization, knowing beyond the intellect that life is for us in every single moment. Celeste is saying that I realized my way doesn't work, so let go and allow the process to be. There's a beautiful expression that goes, pain pushes us until vision begins to pull us, which kind of speaks to that we keep moving the way we have been moving until it becomes so painful that we realize that I can no longer go on like this. I need to find another way. And then there are the old structures, the habits, and they'll linger. It takes time for a habit to be exchanged, right? But with practice, with daily, consistent, and regular practice, eventually, incrementally, and sometimes very suddenly, our ways of being begins to change. Our ways of moving begin to change. And setting an intention to know God, to move deeper into trust, to know more, to trust more than we've ever imagined, or whatever the case may be. Setting an intention to that effect is really helpful, as it guides our steps. I mean, there's been so many moments these last few years when I have found myself in spaces where I could see no way out. Where I found myself in places where, for all of my ability to do and to move into doing this, there was nothing for me to do, because I could not make the solution happen. I could not resolve the matter. So all I could do was to trust that even in the midst of this, this loving presence still is here. Even in the midst of this, all is still well. Something wonderful is always happening. I read another quote. I'm doing some preparations for a class that is about to start, and I wanted to include different quotes from different people. And I read a quote from Eckhart Tolle where he says that, and I absolutely love it. He says that what the caterpillar calls the end of the world, we call a butterfly. So, in other words, this thing that we're moving through, transformation is messy, as is an expression that has been coming to me lately. Transformation is messy to grow. All these things, as we're walking this beautiful path, as we're continuously allowing for ever and greater, grander expressions of who and what we are, all of that work really is about us releasing and letting go that which no longer serves. The small and the limited, the thought patterns, the habits, the ways of being, the ways of moving, the ways of believing, the fears, the worries, the doubts, the sense of not being enough, the sense of not having enough, the sense of separation, sense of lack and scarcity. All of these we need to release and let go. The caterpillar needs to be dissolved for the butterfly to emerge. And the caterpillar literally dissolves. It liquefies, it disintegrates, it ceases to exist. But that needs to happen for the butterfly to emerge. If the caterpillar found a way to hang on to its to itself, there would be no butterfly. So yes, it is messy. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. But finding a way to come back to trust, to trusting that all is well, to trusting that something wonderful is happening, that everything is working for the highest good, even when I don't see it, even, excuse me, even when I'm not feeling it. That allows for the messiness, for the transformation to happen with ever-expanding ease and grace. And so Celeste is saying, when I let go and I didn't die, it has been extremely freeing to be able to trust the process. And I would say that we need to trust the process. There's another saying that goes, drama is optional, which means that, as I say it, everything is nothing until we make it something. So the spaces that we're moving through, they are just spaces. Just as the clouds in the sky, they are just clouds. We can begin to call them something. We can begin to attribute or attach attributes and labels and such. But once we stop labeling, once we stop naming, once we stop, and it's obviously this is much easier said than done, but once we stop engaging in what should and should not be, because a lot of us, we're having resistance towards transformation. It shouldn't be this messy. It shouldn't be this hard. It shouldn't be this painful. It shouldn't be this whatever. But once we embrace and allow whatever is to be as it is, the drama begins to dissolve. And it doesn't take away the messiness, but it does take away the emotional attachment to and the judgments and the opinions about that which is. Michelle is saying there's no denying it can be messy, painful, but it has been worth it. And saying all is well really is really helping me. It is worth it. It is worth it. Thank you, Michelle, for sharing that, because it is worth it. I mean, without really comparing, but I cannot help but make the comparison between the caterpillar and the butterfly. I mean, the butterfly, the caterpillar, it's kind of clumsy, it's It's slow, it's sort of heavy and dank, and the butterfly is so lofty, it is so beautiful, it is so, it's such a upgrade, up leveling of the expression of God. It's such an expansion in the expression of spirit, the caterpillar, or actually the butterfly as opposed to the caterpillar. And that is what we get to experience. So yes, it is a lot of work, it is a lot of messiness, but when we emerge on the other side, when we allow for that next great and grand version of who and what we are to emerge, it is so worth it. It is so worth it. I mean, there have been times when I've been wishing that I could go back to the so-called blissful ignorance that I used to live in, when I could just, keep myself busy or run away from whatever I was feeling and not having to take responsibility and all of that. But at the end of the day, at the end of every single day, I'm so grateful that I'm on this path, that I get to take responsibility for who and what I am, that I get to consciously participate in all of this. And we will emerge. This too shall pass, as the saying goes. This too shall pass. If we keep moving forward, if we keep trusting, leaning into, surrendering to this benevolence that knows exactly what needs to happen, when it needs to happen, and how it needs to happen for the highest possibility for every single one of our lives, for every aspect of our lives. When we keep surrendering, which reminds me of another way of not really saying it, but another perspective that has really helped me from time to time. So once again, this infinite mind that spirit is, every single possibility is in that mind. There's nothing. Hi, Jeff. Good to see you. Good to have you with us here today. There's nothing that does not exist in this infinite mind. Every single possibility for us, for our lives, for every endeavor, for every condition, for every circumstance, for every single moment, every single space exists in this infinite mind. Which means that the version of us that has emerged on the other side, that version already exists. And I heard a story once about an individual, and this individual, he was driving down the freeway, he was moving through stuff, and he had no idea how he was gonna move through the stuff. So he was driving down the freeway and literally crying out of anxiety, out of stress, out of fear, out of worry. He had a family to provide for, and he did not know at all how to make it even through the day, right? So he's driving down the freeway, and he's lifted out of his physical body, emerging into this space. And in this space, a future version of him is standing. So the now version of him is standing in this space, and the future version of himself, of who and what he is standing in this space. And this future version says, "Hey, you made it. You made it. I'm here. I'm already here. Keep leaning, keep trusting, keep moving forward, keep taking step by step forward. You made it. I'm already here." And I'm often lean into that, because that future version, it is here. The future version of every single one of us. There is no time and space in spirit. To spirit is all now. We have time and space. We have past and present and future. But what we call past, what we call future, it's all now to God, right? So that version that has already moved through whatever we are moving through, that version, that individual already exists. And we can lean into that, sort of that story about Hansel and Gretel, how they're leaving pebbles behind to find their way back, to backtrack to their house. Well, our future version has left pebbles for us to not backtrack, but to keep moving forward so that we may merge at one point, at some point, so that we may step into, that is this version of who and what we are, that we may step into this future version. Nature is such a beautiful place to find trust. When fear takes us over, when we are hijacked by worry, by doubt, looking at nature, going into nature. We have, or we used to have, squirrels around our house. And as they were doing their thing, preparing for winter, there was no worry anywhere in the squirrels. They had to find the food that they needed to make it through the winter, to survive the winter. But as they were gathering the food, they were not in anxiety, they were not in fear, they were not in worry, they were not in stress, but they were rejoicing, they were celebrating, they were having fun while moving and working for their own survival. There's so much peace in nature. There's so much, and that peace arises out of trust. Where there is trust, where there's trust, where there's real trust, true trust, deep, profound trust, there can be only peace. There can be only joy. There can be only harmony. We may still experience the thought forms, we may still experience the fear, the worry, and doubt, but when we truly are in trust, we're not hijacked by it, we're not attached to it, but we get to witness it, we get to observe it. So cultivating a deep, 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 profound sense of trust, it is, as Michelle said, it is work, absolutely, but it is so worth it. To be able to move through life untouched, not in the world, actually not of the world, but in the world. That we get to move in peace, even in the midst of swirling conditions, that we get to move in joy, in a sense of harmony and wholeness, smiling even when things are crumbling around us, because we so know that all is well, because we so know that something wonderful is happening, that everything is working for the highest good. And yes, the world may call us crazy. And I've thought myself to be crazy from time to time as I move through spaces where the mind, I can hear the mind say that you should be worried. You should be doing this or that. I haven't been worried. I haven't been doing this or that. I've just been in peace. I've just been in this deep trust. And I'm still here. So obviously that was the right call to make. But by worldly standards, we should worry. By worldly standards, we should be in fear. By worldly standards, we should be doubting our sustenance. We should be doubting that if we don't make it, it's not going to get done. Hey, nothing in nature is making anything happen, and it's still getting beautifully done. So the invitation for us today is to really look at the structures, to really look at the stories that we're telling ourselves as to why we're not, as to why we should not trust, as to why we should not move first. What are the stories that we're telling ourselves? My story was obviously that life is not good, So I could not trust life. Hence, I needed to make it happen. That was my story. It can be the story that I am not, I don't have enough money, education, strength. I don't have enough of this. I don't have enough of that. Whatever the story is, to really be with the fear, be with the worry, be with the doubt, and listen to the story that is underneath it, because it is always a belief that is underneath the fear. Buying into something, we're believing something. So what is the story? And obviously, the questions, no questions. But the next stage of the invitation would be to set the intention to free ourselves, to set ourselves free, to live in more peace than we've ever imagined, to live in more harmony than we've ever imagined, to live in more joy than we've ever imagined. We don't need to articulate how this is going to happen. We don't need to know how this is going to happen. We don't need to figure anything out. All we need to do is to set the intention and allow that still small voice from within to guide and lead and move us toward that. When we set an intention, the whole universe rises up to meet us there, to guide and lead and move us, to move people, places, and things around for that intention to be realized. That is the invitation for today. Thank you so much, all of you. We're going to move into a closing prayer, but I just want to thank you all for your participation, for joining me in this space, in exploring trust, exploring something that is not for the mind, the intellectual mind to understand, but this is for the heart and the soul to really know and feel. Michelle, Jessica, Celeste, Kim, Jeff, M. Thank you all. Anna Maria. And so in this moment, before we say our goodbyes, let us close our eyes and join in what is called an affirmative prayer. It is also called a 6-step spiritual mind treatment. And the purpose of this kind of prayer is to treat our minds. It is not to get God to do anything, to give us anything. This is not about asking, beseeching, or begging spirit or life to do anything, to solve our problems, to dissolve our issues. But this is about us treating our minds so that we become the vibrational answer, so that we move into vibrational alignment with the good that we desire, so that we, as I would say it, so that we move into the feeling tone that all is well. And as when we are in that, as we hang out there, we are the instruments for all the answers, for all the solutions, for everything needed for us to navigate through whatever, to become the butterflies, to emerge as the butterflies. So this is the sole purpose of prayer, treating our own minds to know and to feel that all is well. And we always want to begin in gratitude. So, my goodness, how grateful I am to be walking this path of liberation, spiritual freedom, of coming into ever deeper realizations of the nature of spirit, of the goodness of life, the benevolence that is everywhere. How grateful I am for all the experiences that I have had that have forced and pulled me into going deeper into trust. for all the challenges, every single one of them, the gifts and the blessings of transformation that they inherently are, the springboards, the stepping stones that we may use to raise ourselves onto higher levels of consciousness, into higher vibrations, springboards and stepping stones that we may use to release and let go of that which no longer serves. I am so grateful for the divine design, the divine orchestration that is happening always, everywhere. As God and God alone knows what needs to happen and how it needs to happen and when it needs to happen, and how He so beautifully guides and leads and moves us all along the path to our highest possibility, to our highest expression. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for every single beautiful being that is you. That is you. That is you who are tuning in, who have tuned in, who will tune in to this space. Consciously participating, contributing, co-creating this beautiful space. So grateful. And it is from this space of gratitude that I know, that I remember, that I recognize that there is one thing here. That God is all that there is. Fully present in all that which we can see. Fully present in all that which we don't see. Fully present in all that we hear and all that we don't hear. Fully present in every single space and place and being an object and moment. And that this loving presence is truly good. That it is always for itself. That it is always seeking to reveal more of itself. That it is sourcing and fueling and funding itself, guiding, leading, and moving itself, sustaining, maintaining itself to that very end. That it is always expressing itself perfectly in this now moment, in every single moment. And as we are one with it, as we are what it is, as it is what we are, I absolutely know that all is well. I absolutely know that something wonderful is happening. I absolutely know that everything is working for the highest good. I'm not denying experiences. I'm not denying any experience that any of us may be having. But as God is all there is, as God is always good, as we are one with it, it means that good is here. It means that good is here. That we, just like the seed planted in the ground, have everything that we need to keep moving forward, to keep allowing for that next great and grand version of who we are to emerge. That we are eternally sourced, fueled, funded, sustained, maintained, guided, moved, and led. That we do not need ever to make anything happen, because it's already happening. Yes, it is done in the infinite mind. It is done in the infinite mind, and it is happening now. It is an isness, and yet it is unfolding here in this dimension, in us and through us. It's already happened in the mind of spirit, and it is now demonstrating, manifesting itself here in this dimension, in us and through us. All is well. All is well. All needs met. Everything that we need, we have. Lacking nothing, missing nothing. Beautifully guided, moved, and led. For this and so much more, I give thanks. I give thanks knowing that this is done. I give thanks knowing that this already is in the infinite mind and that it is happening now. And I give thanks for the ease and grace with which it is happening. I give thanks knowing that everything that needs to be released, that needs to be let go of, it is. It's already been released and let go of. Healing is happening now. Joy is happening now. Love is happening now. Peace is happening now. Harmony, wholeness, are happening now. Abundance is happening now. Because the only thing that is happening here and now is this loving presence. And as I release this word, I do so onto the law, knowing that it will, that it cannot return void, but that it must, that it will, that it is returning fulfilled of itself. And I let it, I surrender to it, I allow it to be. So it is, so be it, so shall it be. So we are, so this loving presence is, as it is all there is. Amen, Amen, Ashe, Aho, Hotep, Shalom, Salam, and Hallelujah. Thank you so much. Hi, Christine. Welcome. Emily, Jamie, Celeste. Thank you so much, all of you. Oh, before I forget, somewhere on the screen there is a donation button. And if being in this space resonated with you, you're more than welcome to consider giving a financial donation. These obviously go to us having more of this space so that we can come together for longer periods or more often. So with an open heart, with a grateful heart, I receive anything that has been given, including your participation, including your tuning in. That's a gift enough. But thank you, James. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Celeste. Thank you, Emily. Thank you, Anna Maria. And thank you, all of you, Jamie. Until we meet again, beat in the track. Oh, also, I want to invite you. I have this, what is it called? It's called a series. It's called Practicing the Presence, which does not really cater to the trust aspect, but it does cater to the coming back to the nowness of this moment pillar that we began talking about. So it is my invitation that you check that out. It's beautiful. It's an audio course. It's got like 23 sessions or lessons with different practices, allowing us to take back our minds, allowing us to move deeper and deeper into the nowness of this moment, to allow the nowness of this moment to be the space from which we move and from which we live and from which we, move and live. So it is called Practicing the Presence. I believe it's been released just now, actually. Having said that, thank you so much. Until we meet again, I bless all of our days, and I bless all our ways, knowing as always that all is well, that something wonderful is happening, that everything is working for the highest good everywhere and in all moments. Much love, many blessings to us all. Bye. Thank you, Annie. Shalom.